This episode is an ESL listening practice for intermediate learners. You will hear a natural conversation with clear pronunciation and everyday English. No tests, no pressure, just listening. Let's start.
Hello and welcome to ESL listening practice.
Hello, everyone.
I am really looking forward to this session today because we are unpacking a topic that honestly, it drove me crazy when I first really started paying attention to the mechanics of English. It's one of those things that, it looks so simple on a vocabulary list, but then you try to use it in a conversation, a high stakes one, and you just freeze. You suddenly realize you have no idea what the subtle difference is.
It's a classic intermediate plateau problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know the words, you can translate them in your head, but you don't quite feel the emotional weight behind them.
Exactly. We are talking about that trio of possibility: could, might, and may.
The big three.
And I know what some of you are probably thinking. You're thinking, wait a minute, aren't those just synonyms? Don't they all just mean maybe?
And look, if you check a basic thesaurus, you're not wrong. They all deal with the idea that something isn't 100% certain, but treating them as identical in the real world is, well, it's a dangerous game. It's a great way to accidentally sound arrogant when you wanted to be humble, or to sound wishy-washy when you needed to sound professional.
That is it, exactly. It's all about the vibe.
Yes.
If I tell my boss, I might have the report done, versus I may have the report done, I feel like I'm sending two completely different messages about my own competence.
You absolutely are. In one, you sound like a professional who is managing expectations.
Okay.
In the other, you kind of sound like you're already making excuses for being late. The difference isn't in the definition, it's all in the confidence level.
So our mission today is to crack this code. We don't want to just give you a bunch of grammar rules. We want to give you a framework, almost like a psychological shortcut. So you can feel natural choosing the right word without having to, stop and do a math equation in your head.
We can boil it all down to what we like to call the hierarchy of certainty.
I like the sound of that. It implies there's a ladder we can climb.
There is. And to help you visualize it, I want you to imagine a sliding scale of confidence. Or, even better, imagine you're a gambler.
Okay.
You're at a casino. You have to put real money on whether something will happen. The word you choose depends entirely on how much cash you're willing to risk.
All right, I'm listening. I've got my wallet out, so walk me through the bets.
Okay. At the very top of that scale, where you're feeling optimistic and, the odds are in your favor, we have May, heavyweight champion of possibility.
So if I'm betting on May, I'm expecting a payout. I feel pretty good about it.
You're feeling pretty confident. Then we slide down the scale a little bit. When you start getting nervous or you think the odds are actually against you, you switch to might.
Ah, okay.
Might is the pessimist's choice.
So might is when I'm holding onto my wallet a little tighter.
Exactly. And then sort of sitting off to the side in its own unique category is could. Could isn't necessarily about betting on the odds. It's more about acknowledging that the game even exists. It's about theoretical possibility.
That's a really interesting distinction. So may and might are about likelihood.
Yes.
But could is just about options.
That is the core concept. If you could just hold on to that one distinction, likelihood versus options, the rest of this gets so much easier.
Let's zoom in on the top of that ladder then. Let's talk about may. You called it the optimist.
I did. May signals that something is a strong possibility. It implies you have evidence backing up your statement. It's not just a wild guess.
So let's take the classic British example, the weather.
Of course.
If I look out the window and I see those dark, heavy clouds and the wind is blowing the trees sideways, I'm not really guessing anymore.
Right. You would say it may rain later. You're looking at the data, the clouds, the wind, and you're drawing a logical conclusion. It's probable.
It also feels like there's a bit of authority behind may. I've noticed when I read news reports or listen to officials, they seem to love this word.
That is a very keen observation. May is the most formal of the three. It really carries weight. If you're writing a business email or an academic essay, may is your best friend. It makes you sound objective and professional.
So if I'm writing to a client saying, we may be able to solve this issue by Tuesday, sounds a lot better than we might be able to.
Oh, 100%. We may be able to. Yeah, it sounds like you have a plan and you are actively working on it.
Right.
We might be able to. It sounds like you're just hoping for a miracle.
Let's apply this to people because that's where things can get tricky. Let's say I'm trying to track down a friend, Sarah.
Okay, so if you know Sarah's routine,
Yeah.
and you know she never leaves the office before 6 p.m., and it's currently 5:50.
Then I'd say she may be at work.
Precisely, because it's a logical deduction. You have a good reason to believe it.
Okay.
Now, think about how this affects future plans. If you say to someone, I may join you for dinner, how does that feel to you?
To me, it feels like a promise, or at least a very strong intention. If I say, I may join you, I'm basically telling them to save me a seat.
It means I intend to come, unless something specific stops me. The default assumption is action.
Okay, so may is our confident, formal, evidence-based choice. Now let's step down a rung to might. You called this one the pessimist or the doubter.
Might is the cousin of may, but it has much lower self-esteem. When you use might, you're signaling that you're unsure, you're skeptical, or that the odds are pretty low.
Back to the weather. If the sky is perfectly blue, but I know that in this city the weather can turn on a dime.
You'd say it might rain. You're acknowledging that it's technically possible, but you are not betting on it. You certainly wouldn't cancel your picnic based on a might.
It feels like a disclaimer, like I'm protecting myself from being wrong.
That's a huge part of it. It's a hedge.
Right.
But here's where might gets really fascinating, socially.
Oh.
In many English-speaking cultures, we often use might not to talk about probability, but to be polite.
Ah, the soft no. I know this game very well.
It is the ultimate social tool. Let's say you get invited to a party on Friday night. You're exhausted. You have zero intention of going. You're going to sit on your couch and eat pizza. But you don't want to hurt the host's feelings by just saying, no, I'm not coming.
So I say, thanks for the invite. I might stop by.
And everyone involved in that conversation knows it's a polite lie.
It's the polite fiction. I might stop by actually means I am definitely not coming, but thank you so much for asking.
Exactly. If you used may, there, I may stop by, the host would actually expect you. They'd buy extra drinks for you. Might creates just enough distance that nobody's disappointed when you don't show up.
That is such a crucial cultural tip. Might is the safety valve for social pressure.
It really is. It lowers expectations.
Yeah.
And that's why you hear might so much more in casual spoken English than you hear may. We often like to hedge our bets and avoid direct confrontation. Might, let's just do that.
Okay, so we've got may for the confident stuff, might for the doubtful or polite stuff. Which brings us to could. You describe this as a menu of options.
Could is a different beast altogether. It's less concerned with how likely is this, and much more concerned with, is this physically possible?
It feels very neutral to me, almost emotionally detached.
That's a perfect description. It is detached. Think of a brainstorming meeting at work. You're trying to solve a problem. You might say, well, we could lower the price, or we could change the logo.
You're not saying those are good ideas. You're not predicting that we will do them. You're just putting them on the whiteboard.
You're just listing valid scenarios. If we go back to the weather one last time, it could rain or it could stay sunny.
It sounds like I'm a robot analyzing the atmosphere. Condition A is possible. Condition B is also possible.
It creates a safe space. If you're in a situation where you don't want to make a prediction, maybe because you're afraid of being wrong, could is your shield. You're just stating facts about what is possible, not what will happen.
I use this a lot when I'm making plans with friends. We could get Italian, or we could go to that new burger place.
Right. You're not pushing for either one. You're opening the floor for discussion. It invites the other person to choose.
Whereas if I said, we may go to the Italian place, it sounds like I already decided and I'm just informing them.
Or that you have a reservation already. Could was all about flexibility.
I think the best way to really feel this, because we want our listeners to feel the language, not just memorize it, is that comparison test we talked about.
I love this test.
Yeah.
Let's take one neutral sentence. It blank be true. And we'll just slot in each word to see how the story changes.
Okay, I'll act them out. First scenario. I'm a detective. I'm looking at a clue. It may be true.
Okay, so to me, that sounds like you're taking it seriously. You're going to investigate that clue.
Yeah.
It's a strong lead.
Okay, next scenario. I'm a skeptic. I'm listening to a wild conspiracy theory. Well, it might be true.
I could hear the doubt in your voice. You're basically saying, I guess it's possible in a parallel universe,
Yeah.
but I don't really believe it.
And finally, the logician. Just the facts. It could be true.
That sounds like it is either true or it is false. Both are logical options. It's purely theoretical.
It's amazing how just changing that one tiny word completely rewrites the subtext of the entire conversation.
And that is why native speakers never really confuse them in practice. Even if they can't explain the grammar rule, they just feel the emotional difference.
Now, speaking of that, we do need to address some common traps. Because even though natives play loose with the rules sometimes, there are some mistakes that immediately flag you as a learner.
Oh, there are. And the biggest one, the one that makes my teacher ears bleed, is the to trap.
I hear this constantly. It might to rain. I made it go.
We have to burn this bridge right now. May, might, and could are modal verbs. They are the VIPs of the verb world. They do not like the word to. It is always modal plus the base verb.
So it may rain. He might come.
Never. He might to come. It just breaks the flow completely. It sounds clunky and stops the listener in their tracks.
Okay, what about the double modal? I have a friend who moved to the southern United States, and he swears he hears people say, I might could do that.
Yes. The regional dialect trap. Your friend is right. In certain dialects of American English, particularly in the South, you will hear might could. It's a very colorful part of the local flavor.
But for our listeners who are, say, taking an exam or writing a business report,
avoid it like the plague. In standard international English, you cannot stack them. You can't say he might can come.
So you have to choose. Or you could switch to be able to.
Exactly. You would say he might be able to come. But honestly, for simplicity, just say he might come.
There's one more trap, and this is a deep one. It's the past tense myth. I remember learning in school that could is just the past tense of can.
This is a half-truth that causes so much confusion. Yes, if you're talking about an ability in the past, like when I was 5, I could run fast. That is true.
Right.
But, and this is a huge, but when we talk about possibility, could is almost always about the present or the future.
This confuses so many people. If I say, we could go to Paris next year, I am very clearly talking about the future.
Correct. But because learners have that rule, could equals past, stuck in their heads, they hesitate to use it for future plans. They think they have to say, we will be able to, or something much more complex.
So just to be crystal clear, it could rain tomorrow is a perfectly correct future statement.
It is grammatically perfect. Don't let that old textbook definition of past tense limit your vocabulary.
We've covered the hierarchy, the social nuances, the traps.
Yeah.
But I know what happens in real life. You're in a conversation, someone asks you a question, and your brain just freezes. You don't have time to pull out a chart.
The analysis paralysis. It happens to the best of us.
So we need a strategy, a quick breakdown for when you have half a second to reply.
Okay, let's build a decision tree. Let's call it the SAFE rule.
I'm ready. Scenario 1. I want to be safe. I don't want to commit. I just want to suggest an idea.
Use could. It's your safety net. It's neutral. It's polite. And it's very rarely wrong because you're just listing options. We could do that.
Okay. Scenario 2. I want to sound professional, confident, maybe optimistic. I want my boss to trust me.
Use may. It projects authority. We may have a solution by tomorrow.
And scenario 3. I want to be careful, or let's be honest, I want to politely say no without actually saying the word no.
Use might. It lowers expectations and it softens the blow. I might be able to help with that.
That is a pretty solid toolkit. But I do have to ask, do native speakers actually follow this? Or are we just teaching rules that get broken all the time in the real world?
And that is the reality check. The truth is, language is fluid. You will hear native speakers mix these up. You'll hear someone say, it may rain when they have no idea what the weather is doing. Or it might be true when they're 99% sure.
So if a listener accidentally swaps may for might, it's not the end of the world.
Absolutely not. You will still be understood. We're talking about nuance here, about mastering the flavor of a sentence. But communication is about connection, not perfection. If you stress too much about the hierarchy, you'll stop speaking altogether.
That is such important advice. Use the hierarchy as a guide, not a prison.
Exactly that.
So before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, intuition. How does a learner get from, calculating the odds in their head to just feeling it?
It all comes down to exposure, but it has to be active exposure. The next time you're watching a movie or listening to a podcast, don't just listen to the plot. Listen specifically for these 3 words.
Become a detective for modal verbs.
Yes. When the hero says, we might make it, look at his face. Does he look terrified? He probably does. If the villain says, you may try, listen to the arrogance in his voice.
Oh, I like that. The villain always uses may. You may attempt to stop me, Mr. Bond.
Exactly. It implies, you can try, but I am superior and you will fail. Once you start linking the word to the character's attitude, you stop translating and you start feeling.
So your homework, dear listener, is to go watch a James Bond movie and listen for all the mays.
I can't think of a better way to study.
This has been such a helpful session on these 3 tiny words. It's amazing how much power they really hold.
They really are the keys to emotional intelligence in English.
Thank you so much for breaking it all down for us. And to our listeners, keep practicing, keep listening, and please don't be afraid to make mistakes. It might be hard at first, but you could become an expert, and you may even enjoy it.
Ah, I see what you did there. Very nice.
I had to try. Thanks for listening to ESL Listening Practice. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.